Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing well. If you like what you see in this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and share the video. Today, we're taking a look at Project Songbird, released March 26th. Currently sitting at positive review on Steam. I am running the latest NVIDIA graphics driver, which was released March 24th, version 595.97. This video is currently recorded using a 4K 60 hertz capture card, so there shouldn't be any performance loss. What you see during gameplay should be indicative of your performance. If you have similar hardware as mine, um, I have an Intel Core i9 9900K overclocked 5 gigahertz, RTX 2080 Ti Seahawk edition, plus 50 on the core, plus 1000 on the memory, with 32 gigabyte system memory, DDR4 memory, running at its default clock speed of 4000 megahertz. So looking at the a few trailers and screenshot, I do like the artistic vision of the game. It looks pretty interesting. There is a demo available, so if you want to give the game a chance, you can download the demo and check it out for yourself. It's currently $14 as of this recording, so it is an indie game, fairly affordable, probably pretty short too. It can be beaten in a few hours. Yeah, so without further ado, let's take a look at the recommended specs. So it is recommending an Intel Core i7 8700K or a Ryzen 5 3600. Okay, fairly modest CPUs. I do have the i7 8700K and a RTX 2080 Super in a separate build. The 8700K is still a beast, especially when overclocked to 5 gigahertz and paired with decent memory. The single core performance is actually quite close to my 9900K at 5 gigahertz. 16 gigabyte system memory it recommends. That seems to be the norm nowadays with most games. As far as graphics card, it recommends a RTX 3060 or 6600 XT. So these GPUs are equivalent to the RTX 2070 Super, so quite a bit higher than the current gen consoles, higher than the PlayStation 5. Um, DX12 version, and the storage, 16 gigabytes. I'm guessing SSD is recommended. Yeah, 16 gigabyte um, storage space required is fairly low compared to most games nowadays. They're easily over 100 gigabytes, so that's pretty good. Sound card, any is supported. It doesn't have any VR support. It does have support for DLSS and FSR, FSR2. So I'm guessing DLSS will be version 2 as well. So these are fairly old fake pixel AI algorithm, which I'm going to prefer not to use. I like to play native. I don't like blurry fake pixels. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the game and see how it performs. Take a look at the options menu and see what it has to offer. Video, this is what it defaulted to. So we're gonna make some tweaks, right? So we want full resolution, everything ultra, everything set to maximum. So it's volumetric lighting. You have just two options, low or high. Volumetric light denoiser, that's very good. So I want both. Um, Target frame rate off, TAA, which is a blurry mess. So SMAA, thank goodness, finally. Wow. Okay, so it has an option of no anti-aliasing, FXAA, which is soft, not as soft as TAA. TAA being the next option, and then SMAA. Thank goodness, that's the highest preset you can select. I always, if you've seen a few of my recent videos, I always talk about why don't developers just include this option. It is so clean. I understand it doesn't fully resolve geometry edges, but I would rather take some shimmering over a blurry mess like DLSS, FSR, XCSS, especially TAA. Like, just give me SMAA, CMAA, or MSAA. So VSync, we're going to turn that off. Ambient occlusion is on. Motion blur, I'm a fan of motion blur, but let me turn it off. Since I turned off blurry TAA, let me turn this off as well. Depth of field, you have the option of off, static, dynamic. So I'll go with dynamic. Chromatic aberration, I'll leave that on. That's fine. Bloom, light leak, color grading, film grain. Let me turn off film grain. Yeah, I'm gonna turn that off. And then lens distortion or letterbox. So that's it for the graphical presets. Gameplay wise, it does have a field of view slider, which is fantastic. So let's see the highest it goes up to. Let's see, it goes up to 90, which is perfect. I will play at 90. Camera smoothing, nope, turn that off. Camera shake, absolutely not. Head bob, absolutely not. Toggle crouch, leave that on. So yeah, gamepad. I will be playing with a mouse and keyboard, but okay. So it does have support for adaptive triggers if you want to use that, which is great. I wonder if it also supports haptic. So the PlayStation 5 DualSense haptic feedback, adaptive triggers. I wonder if it also has support for the DualSense PS5 haptic feedback as well. But anyway, controls. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, okay. So fairly short. I don't have to read a whole book just to figure out how to play the game. Yeah. So I wonder if it has. It doesn't look like it has toggle aim, but it has toggle crouch. But anyway, let's get into the game and see how it performs. So it looks like if you see the aspect ratio, this game was designed with widescreen in mind. So 2:35:1 aspect ratio, which is quite odd. The developer actually does state that that's the intention for the game to be played, but you do have the option to change that to the standard 16:9. So okay, so there is okay. So I'm guessing that means the letterbox. So if I turn that off, okay, so it is gone. Okay, so yeah, so that's the whole point of the FOV. If you set it to 60 and you have that letterbox on, it does give you more of a zoomed out approach. But since I have the FOV set to maxed out, um, I'll be playing with this because I don't know, the letterbox seems off. But yeah, so this is the main character. He, I don't know, is a slob. I mean, look at the room. Like, where are the roaches and the rats? This person is a pig. Woke up at 2:24 p.m. Um, yeah, I mean, the game does look clean. I did look up the engine. Thank goodness, it is not an Unreal Engine title. It is actually Unity version 6. So this game was developed by one person, Connor Rush, I believe is his name. Um, yeah, he had a few support, but he was the main you know the main engineer and visionary behind this game. Yeah, started developing it in college, his sophomore year in college, and here we are with the final game. Um, so let me just pull up my frame rate counter. You can see interior. I'm just moving around just to while I'm talking. The game does have it is a DX11 title, even though it says it has support for DX12. There's no option to switch it to DX12 from the settings page. It's a Unity title. A lot of Unity games that I've played are DX11, and I prefer that actually because it's a lot more stable than DX12. You can see just looking at my GPU information, the top left corner, so the first line, it shows the GPU. My GPU wattage is pegged where it's supposed to be, roughly around 330 watts. GPU usage is at 100%. CPU usage is fairly normal. I'm sure it'll increase once I go outside. But yeah, GPU VRAM is under 6 gig. System memory is 6.6. Yeah, so if you have a 6 gigabyte 1060, you should be okay. But yeah, so let me move around. I mean, I'll give the game props. At least it's trying to simulate mirror reflection. I mentioned in my Dead Space video and a few of my videos recently how um, mirrors they don't even bother. Like if you play the Callisto Protocol, Dead Space remake, and so many games, so many modern games, Unreal Engine 5 games, they don't even try to put a mirror. It's either cracked or it's removed, or it's just like they don't even try to put any reflection whatsoever. I know this is what, a cube map possibly. it's not planar reflection, it's cube mapped for sure, because these geometries are just uh, simulated in this mirror, but without the character. But I'll give it a pass. Menu is not really designed for mouse and keyboard. You can tell because you can't even use your mouse cursor, and you can only use the E key to select forward or go back. You can't even use enter or something. Yeah, so the game was definitely designed for a controller. I mean, look at this pig. Jeez. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with the performance. Even though it just says it supports DLSS and FSR, that's not even in the options menu. Perhaps in a future patch, that would be the case. But two things that it said it supports in the Steam recommended page that it doesn't are DLSS FSR, so fake pixel upscaler. It doesn't support that, or what is it, DX12. It doesn't have support for DX12. It's actually DX11, which is the native API renderer, but I prefer it. So yeah, you can see, based on the settings I have, SMAA, it's not fully resolving the edges. It must be SMAA 1, but I'll take that over DLSS, TA, especially TAA. I'll take this any day, because the image just looks so clean. Like it's so refreshing to have a game where the image is actually clean and it's not blurry. Like the textures aren't blurry, and things just look clean. So yeah, I mean, okay, and I'm back in the main game, outside, outdoor area. Okay, so as you saw there is a few frame time stutter. Being a DX11 game, there is no shader pre-compilation step. So that's understandable, and it is using Unity, as I mentioned. Um, but the frame time for the most part is pretty stable, flatline. This is what I like to see. I'm outdoor, and the performance is still rock stellar, over 100 FPS, over 120 FPS, so it feels buttery smooth. GPU VRAM usage is still under 6 gig, and system memory is still under 8. So asking for 16 gigabyte system memory, that's what a ton of games tend to ask for nowadays, but don't fully utilize. Same for VRAM. GPU wattage is still maximized, and usage is still pegged at 100. CPU temp, CPU usage, CPU wattage is pretty good, actually. There are a few pop-ins here and there with the shadows. The shadows do draw in fairly close. Um, you know, I can tell just by moving around, and yeah, I mean, it looks like a PlayStation 4 game. What is that, eighth gen console title? Which I'm fine with, but I'm fine with because the image is very clean compared to a lot of games nowadays that are very blurry, and it just blurs everything. It's like the whole screen is rubbed with Vaseline. Um, but yeah, glad to see DX11. Glad to see SMAA. Um, you know, I'm just glad to see all that. It just takes me back to games from like 10 plus years ago. But yeah, there's just a few pop-ins. That's all. But let's look at the geometry. There's no interaction. The foliage is static. Um, it just has this weird simulation. Like it's almost like the plants are dancing, but it's okay. It's made by one guy. He did state this was his seventh game. Stutter there, yeah, major stutters. Brought my 0.1% load to 2 FPS. Okay, another stutter. Yeah, so it seems like the stutter could be a result of streaming in assets. It's better than Borderlands 4. That game, the frame time, and that was an Unreal Engine 5 title. The frame time was just terrible, like terrible. So I can deal with one or two stutters here and there, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the game, you can see there's some pop-ins. Distance geometries are popping in. This tree hasn't fully resolved. Uh, the depth of field, or whatever it's using here seems to be very not good. So let me see if I can make some adjustment to that. As I was saying, the menu is not designed for mouse and keyboard. You have to use the arrow keys or the WASD key to go up and down. Depth of field is set to dynamic, so let me turn that off and let me see if that kind of fixes the image. Um, so resume. Okay, that looks a lot better. That looks a lot better. Oh wow, that definitely looks a lot better. Oh wow. Okay, so the depth of field here is not good at all. It is quite yeah. It's almost like a motion blur and TAA mixed together and some kind of hazel screen effect into the distance. So now I can see everything. Everything is so clear. Yeah. So the game does have pretty aggressive level of detail transition. You can see by the foliage, the grass on the floor, and the shadows. And I mean, just looking at this foliage right here, if I step back a bit, it just completely vanishes, right? Yeah. So the only criticism I'll have, I understand this is an indie game. It was made by someone when he was in college, started in a sophomore year. If I have to give constructive criticism, I will say uh, possibly, for the next project, just make sure that the game kind of starts a little bit quicker, like you're thrown into action quicker, sooner. I'm almost an hour in, and all I've been doing is just walking around and doing what seems to be busy work, to be honest. And then on the technical side, I appreciate that this has DX11 and it's not Unreal Engine. But on the flip side, I would say get better at probably managing LOD transitions because it is a bit distracting. The geometries are not interactable, so everything is static. You just clip through like tree branches and all that, and the grass, the foliage barely moves. And I mean, yeah, the visuals look like something from like an early, like a late PlayStation 3 game, to be honest.